Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. So Colby, here we go. A week has passed, maybe a little more, I don't know, since we released footage of the Raiders game, and you gave me an assignment to, based off our conversations, and nobody else is, we boldly go where no Broncos channel, dares to go. And one of those places is we wanted to take a look at um, the Bears defense under Fangio. And I sent you a couple clips just as talking points. I'll include that. I'll have to edit this. Then when I edit this, what happens is I got to make, I don't know why, but Skype just screws up in the editing. I have to make two separate audio tracks and get rid of the original. Any rate, so I'll include the video kind of as we voice over it. Did you get a chance to see that Bears video that I sent you?
Yes, both of them.
Well, the first one. Well, let's talk about the second one I sent you first. Basically, they deny a touchdown with Matt Ryan on the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
But if you notice, you don't notice their safety running out of position, leaving a wide open hole.
Mm-hmm.
So they stay put. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: is that there's aspects of Fangio's. The templates are basically the same. There's definitely with the Bears a noticeable upgrade at the front four. There's no doubt about that. Definite noticeable upgrade. Upgrade two with the linebacking as far as coverage. That doesn't mean they're perfect and no team's going to throw. The Falcons were having a tendency to throw the ball to the edges. But what would get them into trouble? And I sent you this. Was the first one I sent you. If you really looked at that video, you saw that the defense was confused. They were talking amongst each other as who gets what, who does what. Ryan sees it. So I don't know if he speeds up the count, but he does get the ball high pretty quickly. What I think most likely happened, the linebacking was supposed to take care of a tight end who ends up all alone in the middle of the field. And this is what I don't like about Fangio's system, because if it was a one high and the number 21 was a strong safety for them. I don't have the name right now, but
Eddie Jackson.
No, for the Bear. We're talking about the Bears.
Yeah, Eddie Jackson, Bears.
No, it wasn't Eddie Jackson. Hang on a second. I'll get it for you here. Quentin Demps. That's who the 21 is.
Yeah.
Okay, Quentin Demps, which I believe was a sign-on from the Eagles or the Giants. Let's see. He was signed on from the Houston Texans.
Yep.
Okay, so Demps completely he blows this as a safety, because if you're going to run the one high safety, and I kept saying this, if you're not on it, on what who's coming out of who's coming down the field, if you're not on that, they're going to attack that every time. So he misses the blown assignment the linebacker is supposed to have on this tight end. And so this guy's out on an island all by himself. Okay. He doesn't, when you see this guy running free as a safety, the whole point of being a safety is you got to keep that guy in front of you. Minimum. He doesn't do that, and it ends up scoring a touchdown. And what I have noticed with Fangio, though, with like you said, the safeties they have, they would go into too high a lot. They wouldn't get caught up in that too often, and that forced Matt Ryan to have to go check down every single time. He couldn't go over the top. And like I said, they would attack the edges of Chicago. Matt Ryan would. So again, it just wanted to make the point that if they stay where they're as safeties, stay where they're supposed to be. If they prevents Ryan from scoring an easy touchdown, unlike Carr. Where we saw, and I showed the film. And I don't know if, our players are not as disciplined as the Bear players were. They're not as good because of the front four, or a combination of all of it, but I'll just show you where player personnel comes into play with this type of system. Well, probably any system, I guess, really. And where they'll, get burned versus if they, stay to assignment, it makes it much harder for the opposing team. So,
I want to I want to push back on the single high safety real quick. So when it comes to Quentin Demps is more of a rotational player. So I'm not going to really judge anything off of a one high safety look from a guy like Quentin Demps. Now, if that was Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos, I'd be like, okay, you have a point there. But I think the issue that Fangio does have, and this is where a lot of people like to not think about when you think about defense in today's NFL. I think that with Fangio, he is a brilliant defensive mind, in my opinion. But I think he gets caught up in being too cute for his own good. I think that's a point that gets lost in what he. I'm not saying that Fangio isn't a great defensive mind. I think he is. I think he's up there with the Belichicks, with the Wade Phillips of the world. I think he's there. I just think sometimes he gets too cute. And you see that with the single high safety looks, with certain certain coverage looks. The one thing that correlates to what I've been saying since Fangio's gotten here is that front seven is vital in his defense because he plays a lot of cover 3 and cover 2, and you probably saw that in the films that I wanted you to watch because. What I saw when you sent me those 2 videos was how quick that defense got to Matt Ryan, especially in the front 4, and how Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith were able to neutralize the middle field enough for that front 4 to get the push up the middle. It was just, you're right on the money. It was so quick how they got back there that, yes, the Matt Ryan touchdown got negated, but if you look closely, Matt Ryan was getting hit, so he was just throwing it up there. Oh, there's my tight end, bang,
Well,
I
get
it where you're coming from. Yeah, I get it where you're coming from. He probably knew that's what they were running because in the video, I could see it. He was, getting ready to. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Bang, bang, chicken and shrimp. But going back to the front 4, that's the problem that I'm having with everybody who says that we have a great defense. If you compare this defense to that Chicago defense, our front 4 cannot get in the backfield as fast as the Chicago Bears defense, and our linebackers aren't even in the same universe and league as Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith.
No. So, and also wanted to point out what you just said about Demps. You have to have the player personnel to run this, yes. And you have to have people that really understand when to go too high, when to go single high, when to assist in the middle, and that takes player personnel. So when you had Demps in there, and he completely blew what was going down. I mean, he should have broke off that because he was trying to assist the corner, which is what you do, but in this case, the linebacking blew it, so he has to get there as fast before that tight end sits in that just in the middle of the sea of Chicago, just waiting because he if he's there, Ryan really can't throw that pass without worrying because you said the front 4, you saw it, he's getting ready to get hit.
Yep.
He's got to do something. He can't just make it an easy touchdown. That's why I brought the other one up. Where you saw in our situation with the Raiders, which I showed the video, Simmons just completely leaves the area and leaves that completely wide open. But yeah, player personnel, you were going to say.
No, you're good. You're good. You bring up an excellent point with the player personnel with this whole thing. The one thing that I've noticed and you noticed is they're running a lot of too high looks. Because they have the player personnel to run that. We don't have the player personnel here in Denver to run those single too high looks, those certain coverages that Fangio was able to run. Yes, the defense is similar, but there's clear differences in what Fangio is running here than he was running in Chicago because he doesn't have the player personnel and the requisite players in the backfield, and especially in the front four and the front seven, my apologies, to run that certain defense that he did in Chicago. Everybody likes to bring up that Justin Simmons and Kareem Jacksons are these top line safeties. Pro Football Focus, give me a break, okay? We're going to be talking about them here in a little bit. But, dude, Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos were one of the best safety duos I've seen in a long time because they were able to do things that certain safety duos can't do. Adrian Amos is one of the most underrated safeties in the National Football League, in my opinion, because he made Eddie Jackson. Everybody likes to talk about Eddie Jackson. He was the heart and soul of that defense. To me, it was Adrian Amos because he was there for long enough to understand this defense, and he had the requisite skill set to run Fangio's defense.
So I have to disagree with one thing. I think the defenses the templates are exactly the same. The problem is the difference is the player personnel running it. When I'm watching Chicago 2017, they know when to get in and out of things. They know it so well that they're actually disguising. They're really disguising a lot of things. It comes natural to them. Where I think that I still don't think our safeties really get it. I just think that they're out of position a lot. I just don't think that, like you mentioned, the two guys in Chicago, I don't think they're just at that level of understanding. Maybe physically they're at that same level, but I think up here that they're not running it.
I have to disagree. I don't think that Justin Simmons and Eddie Jackson are neither physical or mentally on the level of an Eddie Jackson.
They're not mentally, no.
I just don't think they are physically either because I don't think that Justin Simmons doesn't have the requisite speed that Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos does. I want to bring up something. I have to disagree with you here. We're actually disagreeing. This is pretty fun. I like it. But you say that Fangio here in Chicago run the same thing. The difference is that Fangio doesn't have the power to do the stuff that he wants on the defensive side of the football that he did in Chicago. The reason why you're seeing these things in Chicago where the players are able to disguise things is because they feel comfortable in that system because they're in that system for 3 years and they were getting the right players to run that system. And when you don't think, you're able to play free. That's what Manning has said over and over again. That's what players have said over and over again. And this is the difference, and this is a noticeable difference, and I didn't know if you saw this. It's not just about speed, it's about, yes, the disguise, but I'm going to go back to the speed. They were a fast defense where they were able to get out of those breaks. They were getting to the football, they were tackling, they were able to disguise. They were a fast defense. You saw how quick they got in the middle, back at the quarterback's face. Matt Ryan wasn't reading War and Peace like Josh Allen was when he came to Denver. That's a big difference. That's a big difference.
Well, not only that, but they kept Matt Ryan from running downfield like Josh Allen. Now I understand that Josh Allen is a younger, but still at the same time, their running backs, their front four just shut that right down. Yep. I think that's the deal is player personnel. The front four is definitely a step up, and that just everything. It's like a working clock goes from there.
Like we've said over and over again. I'm sorry to interrupt you. And this happened in the Super Bowl, which STR and the orange or blue color, but glasses and other platforms apparently didn't watch. Look how easy the front four made it for the back end players, like in 2015 in Denver. The front four makes everything easier. You've brought it up when you played football. It makes everything so much easier for those back end players and the linebacking core.
Oh yeah, you worship the ground. It's just like a great offensive line. As an offense, you worship the ground they walk on because if either or. If you have a dominating offensive line or a dominating defensive line, man, it just everything just works like clockwork.
Yep.
They really make everybody look better.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
They make everybody look so much better. And you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. And if it you know, and every now and then, just like the play I show with the Chicago, okay, you got us on that one. You know, and that, you know,
was that happening on a consistent basis though?
No, and well, remember, Demps is a reserve guy. He's a rotational guy. He was brought in.
Player.
Yes, he was a rotational player. So,
but that's the difference. Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson are apparently top 5 safeties, and that's happening on a regular basis because of the front 4 and the front 7.
Yeah, you do not see the Bears getting attacked over and over and over. One of two places, because they know that the safeties aren't going to be in position. I mean, we've showed that. Okay, that if you know, you want to sit there and say we don't know what we're talking about. You can see that film over and over and over and over again, just over and over and over again. And we saw that all season long.
All 100 views.
All 100. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, they don't. That's just it.
They don't care.
Well, no. Let's go into Football Focus, because this is. Yeah. I honestly believe, if I am to do some research, if I own Football Focus, I want to be sprinkling Kool-Aid as far and wide as I possibly can. I bet you if I went into, give me a mediocre at best. I bet you if you go to the Bengals, let's say you go to the Bengals, they'll tell you that top 5 offensive line, whatever, top 5 this, top 4 that. I think they do that league wide, and then the real team, the teams that really do have the offensive lines and defensive lines or corners or whatever, no, it's over the top. It's just like, a gush, a dam break of Kool-Aid, because they know it. Yeah, well, these guys really are the real deal. So I think Football Focus, like STR, they know where their bread is buttered, and everybody wants to hear how great their team is. And I just don't think I don't think the Broncos are alone. I'm sure that if I check every team of the Raiders, I'm sure if I go wherever, you're going to hear glowing reports, glowing reports for every team.
Yeah, I don't really care too much about Pro Football Focus because they're stat-driven company, and they're too big for their britches, in my opinion. I don't think that they, like I said, I'm not going to judge somebody off of, I'm sure that they do the research. I'm sure that they work hard and stuff, but I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're putting out bullshit, I believe. And the bullshit is that, the statistic says that this Broncos offensive line, in the running game, we're one of the top graded offensive line. Like, give me a freaking break. It correlates to the Broncos. They've said it for 3 years now that this Broncos offensive line is top notch. Is a top 12 offense, top 10, top 5.
Don't worry, it'll be great this year. It'll be great.
Don't worry. That's probably what Elway watches is Pro Football Focus. Is like, okay, we don't need to worry about the offensive line because those guys said so. So I'm going to go out and get hard on the edges and be soft in the middle because I'm going to be like Al Davis and the Raiders. I got to do that. So.
Yeah, you just can't help Al Davis.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why statistics are a con game. I don't believe in statistics. I believe in game film because game film shows you more than statistics. So if you want to disagree, okay, that's your opinion.
Well, the reason why people like to shuttle off statistics because it's easy to do. Well, you can show it's easy to cut and paste numbers. That's how it is. Well, what did we see in the game film against the Broncos? You don't need to run against them, and because you can just attack their linebacking over and over and over.
So that's been happening since 2015. It's not just this year, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's post 2016, after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Once they started getting rid of more and more and more of the dogs, I've said it year after year that this defense is getting worse and worse each year, each and every year.
I totally agree with you. I said I literally went on national media. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. I went on Sirius XM. Okay, I have the video, I have everything. My dad's recording it. I literally said that Malik Jackson and Danny Trevathan are going to be huge losses for this defense, and blah blah blah. I said my war and peace. Okay, I literally said that those two are going to be huge losses because those guys made up this defense with their playability and Danny Trevathan's coverage ability. Okay, and it's been happening every single year. You've said it since before I came on here, and I've said it too to everybody that I know that this defense is not the same defense that it was 6 years ago. Elway has ruined this team. He has ruined this franchise from what Pat Bowlen wanted, which was players that in a recruit scheme like Vic Fangio, for example, that can play this thing. You know, you have Vance Joseph, you have Wade Phillips that went to other teams and are having the free reign to get the players that fit their system. But here in Denver, our coaches are suppressed and only have a certain amount of money and certain players that they can go after. You know, I brought up something to you in the last video with Adrian Amos. You can look it up. It's on Google. You can look up Broncos are interested in getting Adrian Amos because Fangio knew that Adrian Amos is a vital type of player that can help out this defense in the back end.
And no, but we have to go get Kareem Jackson because Elway supplanted that type of player for a Kareem Jackson who was an overpaid player. I said at the time, like hot tub time machine.
I didn't like the signing of Kareem Jackson. So there you go. Everybody hated me. Everybody said I was a talking head in the dark. Everybody said I was stupid. Kareem Jackson in a certain role can be good, but not in this type of scheme. He can't. You have to be able to run and cover. And that's the same issue with Justin Simmons. He doesn't have the requisite makeup speed in certain play packages and certain coverage packages to be able to play in this defense. And you guys gave him top 5 money.
Yeah. I think that the film shows once again our points that we've been trying to make. The lack of player personnel. Well, take a look at Surtain. Maybe you know what it was is George Payton wanted to back up Fangio. Is really what by saying this is an Elway pick. This is an Elway pick. And he says this, and there's all this denial. And you remember when he said that, sports talk radio just started going backwards. I mean, it's just like totally like
just like they're doing with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Well, no, I mean it caught them so off guard. They're like, trying to spin that. How can we spin this? Now, what I'm saying is that when Vic Fangio they asked about Surtain, I want to ask you this: if Vic Fangio had his way, would he be getting a guy, in his own words now, this is Vic Fangio's own words, would he get a guy that he says in his own words, we will try and hope, maybe perhaps he'll become a slot corner? Does that sound like his guy to you?
No, that's to me what that tells me, and there's two things to take away, and I'm happy that you brought this up. There's 2 things I take away from that comment. Number 1, he's not confident in Patrick Surtain at all to play in the system. And number 2, I think that he wanted I think he wanted a coverage linebacker that okay. Can we just say this? I love Noah Fant. And this correlates to the whole Devin Bush thing. I wanted Devin Bush in that draft. I thought that was a hell of a pick. I love Noah Fant. Okay. I think he's a hell of a player. But right now, I know that the tight end was lacking that year, but I'm just saying, Devin Bush in this defense, look what he's doing in Pittsburgh. I mean, he's exceeding expectations. Noah Fant, we haven't really seen a whole lot because you brought in Pat frickin' Shurmur. This correlates to what you're saying. I'm not trying to go off topic, but I'm just saying, you have Devin Bush in this defense. I know he's no Roquan Smith. No one's Roquan Smith, but Devin Bush can be that type of player over time. I think he wanted Zaven Collins. Jamie, I think he wanted Zaven Collins. I think you're onto something. I think he wanted Zaven Collins. If he had the power to get a defensive player, I think he wanted Zaven Collins because that's a rare type of player.
They contacted him. They were in contact with him. And they could have got him, and it would have made – because a guy like that, I mean, right now in today's NFL, coverage linebackers are coveted because of what that frees up for the safeties, the corners, and then if you come along and you get some if you would have got Jordan Phillips, if you would have got that push up the middle, then add a coverage linebacker, maybe you can help out the Justin Simmons of the world a lot better. But again, you should have went with what Fangio wanted and not what Elway wanted. Again,
and this is a typical Elway. This is what happened. This is what happened when Elway got too much control. Is he's putting players in positions that they're uncomfortable at. I said at the time that Patrick Surtain is a boundary corner. He's not a slot corner. He is a boundary corner for a reason, because he does not have the hip fluidity to turn and run with certain receivers. I guarantee you, if they play him in the slot this year, that Tyreek Hill is going to eat him alive. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen, because I'm telling you right now.
Any number of receivers they have could probably eat him alive there. But
he's a stiff corner. What
I find interesting is they're not gushing over him in camp. You don't hear anything about him in camp. I haven't. I'm not paying attention. What's that?
I haven't heard anything about Patrick Surtain. You know what? I don't think Fangio's confident. Okay. I'm sure that Fangio likes the player, but he's not. He knows that in this type of system that he wants to run, that Patrick Surtain can't play slot. He's more of a boundary dude.
Well, we have two guys in this Al Davis 90s.
Al Fuller and Ronald Darby, and then you have Michael Ojemudia. And then you have Hussein Bassi. You have Bryce Callahan still. Why didn't you go after Zaven Collins, John Elway? Why?
No, or your offensive lineman, Yeah,
Rashawn Slater.
Or Rashawn Slater.
I'm going off topic.
Well, I want to say a couple. Look at, we got two. This guy is like the king of draft busts. And and anybody he hates that accelerates, you got Surtain. What happens when he goes down the tubes? Who takes the fall for that? And we already have Jerry Jeudy on the cusp of being a bust. They're trying to prop Jerry Jeudy up like they did last year. Oh, he's having such a great camp. Well,
How does that correlate to the season?
Well, Jerry Jeudy knows he's not going to get hit. Of course he's having a good camp. He knows he's not going to get hit. But like I said, the season gets going and he takes a licking, just takes one licking. Does the guy go back into his shell? Yes. That's what we got to find out. Does he go back into his shell when he gets?
Yes.
I
think he's an immature player.
Well,
I think that and people are gonna probably say I'm an idiot, but I think he's an immature player.
Well, I want to see a receiver competition between him and Tyreek Cleveland.
I think Tyreek Cleveland, and this isn't a hot take. I think you're right on the money. I think Tyreek Cleveland. He doesn't complain. He does the work like Philip Lindsay does, and guarantee you he'll get cut. And this is another thing.
And go somewhere and then be like a top receiver somewhere.
Just like Andy Janovich, who's thriving in
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. Sorry. So this is the like you said, the ego has landed. He's still here. I want to see what George Payton can do without Elway, or strangling him and keeping him from doing so, because he wanted Roy Robertson Harris. This is known. He went to a local media outlet and said, we have to get better on the. He said it in his press conference, and then you see them going after these corners that make no sense. Especially, like you said, I would love Ronald Darby, but not at $10 mil a year. 3 years, $30 million. That's an Elway move. You kept hoping for hot tub time machine Jawan James. He got hurt. We were right again on that. Then you go after and get another hot tub time machine and more Bobby Massey. It's just the continuing bullshit.
Here, I'm going to play this for everybody. I sent you this, but I want to play this for everybody, if it will. I gotta maybe turn it up.
Just listening to sports talk radio and listening to Orlando Franklin go off. And my biggest gripe in all this is they see the problem, but they refuse to put the blame where it belongs. One was about the shitty job that has been done with the offensive line, in particular the right tackle, but you could might as well include the center and the right guard, and even the center and right guard as well. But they're blaming Fangio, which makes no sense, saying that, and then they're using all the examples that predate Fangio. Let's not talk about the problem, which is the guy upstairs. In this whole equation, it's the one constant. Now, the other thing that they're going on, Sandy Clough is going on, or Orlando Franklin, is he's all pissed off at Noah Fant. Well, Noah Fant was on that 18-touchdown projection when Rich Scangarello, who uses the tight end, wait a minute, you see Kansas City and you want to just completely revamp the offense to be a Kansas City offense, where you use a three wide receiver set and you don't really use the tight ends. And everybody could see that Fant was underutilized by Shermer. But who ultimately do you blame for that? Not even Shermer, because he didn't hire himself. It goes back to the guy at the top who decided to get away from the tight end.
So
great point.
So you could say Kelsey. Oh no, we'll look at Kelsey. Oh, okay, let's look at Kelsey.
Has he been in that system?
Shermer doesn't use Fant. He doesn't utilize him. So but did Shermer hire himself? No. And you want to blame Fangio, but who's been going through offensive coordinators like Sox?
Elway.
It's not Fangio.
And everybody wants to say he's not part of this organization. He fired himself. So I guess if you get a promotion, you get fired. You brought this up many times. I love it. It's the stupidity of Broncos country, the orange and blue colored glasses, and STR in the local media outlet. It's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. Okay, you got rid of Rich Scangarello, who I'm gonna go on a rant. You go out, you let go of Rich Scangarello, who, at all accounts, over the last few games of the year, was starting to get things together. You might not have liked him at the beginning of the year, but he was starting to figure things out, because this is the first time as an offense coordinator. You just got done being a quarterbacks coach. It's going to take time, okay? He was starting to understand how you need to run an offense in today's NFL, especially on the front line. You need offensive linemen. He was using Noah Fant. He was using Jeff Hireman. He was using Troy Fumagalli. He was using Jano. He was using Andrew Beck in a way that did we see Andrew Beck a lot this year at the fullback position? No, because Shermer is a souped-up version of Mike McCoy. So you didn't see the correlation effect that Locke felt comfortable in with Rich Scangarello over the last few games of the year. It just didn't happen. And then you guys want to blame Locke for all these issues that is happening in front of him. Is Drew Lock, and I'm going to ask people this, is Drew Lock getting the requisite development from a coaching staff standpoint and from a belief standpoint in the front office that will help him succeed in the future?
Of course not. They gave up on him.
They did.
Here, hold on. Here's the thing. Now we get to this quarterback thing. So, we had Denver.com or DNVR. They came and gave me these morons gave me all kinds of shit for this channel. So one of their guys writes this article up saying that the cards are stacked against Locke. Yeah, well, taking a chip off of our block, right? After all the shit we took from them. Yeah, but here's the thing: Locke did things, to hurt himself. But wait a minute now. And on this, remember, I wasn't the Locke fan. I wasn't a Locke fan. How can you sit there and say that the organization had no part in that? No, none, zero. You're out of your friggin' skull to think that the organization didn't contribute to his failure or your perception of his failure. However, all these stats, people, if you look at his stats after the Miami game, they're a complete contrast to the first half, which ultimately gave him the bad stats at the end. But his stats, again, like at the end of the season, showed that upper. I think he was in the 70 plus completion percentage.
Yep.
They never want to talk about that. And as a matter of fact, we know that this quarterback competition is a hoax because follow the money. It's what I was trying to tell you. Follow the money. You don't spend millions of dollars on a guy to make him a backup, But to save face, you have to say quarterback competition when you know there's no quarterback competition.
No.
You got sports talk radio as an adjunct of Dove Valley because of John Elway. Now, like I said, imagine this: if you put Josh McDaniels, have everything go the way it did from 2016 to where we are today, and you put Josh McDaniels in that seat where John Elway was, and then Josh McDaniels gave himself a raise, we would seem like the conservative type. Everybody would be up in arms, about, and now you're just putting George Payton in front. Everybody would be sounding like us, but because this is Elway, and I said this is the Al Davis effect, happening to the Broncos. It's something you can't talk about. That's the problem. And I knew that this would be a problem if Elway turned out to be a lemon, as far as a general manager / owner / head coach / scout, whatever it is that thinks he wants to be.
Something that people like to forget in DNVR. Oh my God, talk about a real
waste.
Yeah,
waste.
Real waste. And all these other ones. What'd they do to Locke after his first year?
After that first year,
what did they do? What he pulled his offense coordinator, who from all accounts was getting comfortable with the system. And can I just say this? Everybody was so high on Locke coming into this past season. Okay, everybody was so high on him. I was one of them because at the time I thought with Rich Scangarello and Drew Lock working together, this could work. It didn't take him half a season to get comfortable with Rich Scangarello. When he came in, he was comfortable. When he came in, Rich Scangarello was, and this is another thing that Shermer doesn't like to do because his ego, is that he was with Rich Scangarello, he was designing a playbook that fit Drew Lock's strengths. And that's a lot of things that a lot of people, including DNVR, doesn't like to talk about. And it took him half a season this year to get used to Pat Shermer. And then after the Miami game, he was golden. Okay? And I'm going to ask people this. With Josh Allen, he was no world beater his first 2 years in the league. He was no world beater, but he had the same offense coordinator for 3 years now.
So this is what I got from Rich Scangarello. Watching this offensive line struggle, even at the twilight of Peyton Manning's time with the Broncos, Rich Scangarello was trying to make up for the ineptitude of the Broncos offensive line, both with Janovich, the tight ends.
Yep.
So in helping Locke, obviously understanding this as a young quarterback, he was trying to double up on protection for the quarterback. Because what they were doing with Flacco just wasn't working. It just wasn't working.
He's a statue out there.
He's a statue out there, and
everybody. Joe Flacco.
Well, let's start with sports talk radio, and that's a talk. Well, where did they get that information from? Dove Valley. Yeah, that's a glaringly Elway move right there. And I wanted to ask. You're going to talk to your Viking fan. We're going to have a show that we talk to a Viking fan about George Payton. We're going to talk about Bridgewater. We're going to get into relevant topics. But one thing I wanted you to ask him is the perception have we become this clown show of bringing in has-beens, used-to-be's? We can't develop anybody. We can't. You were talking about all these people they're bringing in. Have we really developed anybody?
Nope.
I mean,
nope.
Anybody.
The one guy that you had hope for was Philip Lindsay, and then you just let him go. Andy Janovich, you let him go.
Well, and the only reason Cortland Sutton developed is because you happen to have Deion Sanders. You happen to have Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wasn't before anybody else said it. I have videos where I'm like just barbecuing Cortland Sutton, and right when I do that, guess who starts chewing out Cortland
Sanders.
Sutton? Yeah. Do you think maybe? I don't know. Do you think at least he saw what I saw? You know? And people were like, "Oh my God!" And you know, no, that's what you got to do. I don't know what Cortland Sutton's going to do with Judy, but that's a different subject. But I just want you to ask that guy if we like represent some sort of a dumping ground for quarterback has-beens.
I don't think it's just quarterback has-beens. I think it's for washed-up players.
Yeah, just a washed-up player that just trying to desperately.
You saw it this past year. Nobody wanted to come to Denver. So what did Elway do? He traded for Jarrell Casey and AJ Boye. That's what he did. You traded draft capital, who everybody says that we have the top draft experts and top draft scouters in the league, Cecil Lammey. But, you're going to sit here and say that Elway's this all-world GM where he had to go out and trade to get those type of washed-up players. We called it. You called it. You said that Jarrell Casey's washed up. I said AJ Boye was washed up. I hated it because these guys are over the hump. They're old. You have to start getting young, up-and-coming players, okay? And this is the problem I'm having with Kyle Fuller. The problem I'm having with these certain other players. You're getting retrends.
Well, there's no long-term bid. This is the point I'm trying to make.
I guarantee you half this roster won't even be here in the next 2-3 years.
That's what I believe too. I think Bronco fans, for some reason, got into this idea that we could just be the rent-a-center of we'll just rent-a-center ourselves to a Super Bowl. I think because all the chips just fell correct. You had Pat Bowlen again. Manning doesn't sign if Pat Bowlen's not the owner. He doesn't. He made that clear at signing that Pat Bowlen was the driving force that between all the other teams that wanted him, Pat Bowlen was the driving force for him to sign the dotted line. Then Pat Bowlen tells Elway, no, you don't get a say. You're not putting Vance Joseph in as your offensive or defensive coordinator. You're going to put in Wade Phillips. Then all the chain of reactions that happen after that, people that want to come in and play with Manning, defensive people that want to come in and play with Wade Phillips. Elway's just a spectator of this, okay? So he feels, well, I can do this my way once Pat Bowlen's out of the way. And Manning's not an issue. I'll show you how. There was never any vision to move forward. He has a fallout with Gary Kubiak, and it's just
Phillips?
Wade Phillips, get out of town. We don't need you. Don't want you.
We'll just get your understudy in Joe Woods. Don't worry about it. We're not going to pay you the extra $1 million.
Yeah. So he did it his way, and and anybody with two eyeballs that doesn't want to look at him like, oh, he's that quarterback. No, he's just not good at this ownership, GM-ship, head coach-ship, or you say, you talk about the scouts. I don't know if the scouts are good because John Elway's trumping everything all the time. I don't know.
And this is another thing. This is why I think George Paton was emphatic of signing a 6-year contract. Okay, is because he knew that Elway is out of here in a year or two. Okay, he knows that a lot of these players, even the coaches, are not going to be here. And I think with a fresh start, George Paton will be able to do the things that he wanted to do, like build the offensive line, build the defensive line. I want Fangio to stick around, but he's not going to. And this all correlates to what I've said over the years, is that why did DeMarcus Ware come here? Because of Wade Phillips. Why did Aqib Talib come here? Because of Peyton Manning and Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
Why did all these other players, from Emmanuel Sanders, from Owen Daniels, all these other players, they came here because of Gary Kubiak and Peyton Manning. Okay.
Wait a second. What did this year? What did Von Miller say when it came to who he's playing for and why is he? What is he out to prove? And he said, first thing out of his mouth. Oh, I'm not playing for and not out to prove anything for the GMs, M's, as in plural too.
Who is that towards? Oh, that's Elway. Do people not realize that Elway and Miller don't get along?
No, they don't.
They don't get along.
That's why he won't go on sports.
You saw when Miller was trying to get that contract. Who was playing hardball?
Yeah.
And even Von Miller's mother called out Elway. That's how bad it is.
Well, look at Philip Lindsay's mom. Or Philip Lindsay himself. Anybody that does good on this team, you're out of here. That's
Denver. You should be happy Philip Lindsay's mom said that stay here. That's the reason why I credit her. I'm not crediting anybody else except for Philip Lindsay's mother for keeping him in Denver because he wanted to go to Baltimore. He wanted to go to Atlanta. He wanted to go all to these other teams because Elway said, oh, we're going to draft you, and did a big old F-U to him and said that, no, we're going to get Jamal Williams, who's not – or whoever, this guy from Arkansas, who isn't even in the league anymore. Another player that Elway washed up at. Another wasted pick. Wasted pick.
So if the scouts scout somebody, it's not an Elway player, and they do better than Elway's player.
You know who the perfect Elway player is? It's Garrett Bowles.
Well, not just Garrett Bowles. There's two of them. Who's on the defense?
Justin Simmons.
Justin Simmons, yeah.
It took them 5 years to develop this player, and you had a guy that you passed on in Ryan Ramczyk, who's an all-pro right tackle and one of the best players in the league, who came from where? Wisconsin.
You just can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't do it. It's off the charts. Getting back to you were saying something about the GM offer to the New England Patriot guy that turned it down.
Yeah, he backed out.
You know what? I got thinking about what you said about this. I think they had to give George Payton that 6-year deal based off of probably the conversations between him and that, because they probably didn't offer him that. They probably just said, "Come here, be my yes man." And
we'll give you a 3 or 4 year contract. I think they wouldn't have got Peyton if it wasn't for that 6-year contract.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't have done. He's not that.
And I'm not saying that George Payton is a terrible GM. He was very coveted from other teams. I love. And here's another guy that we don't talk about: Terry Fontenot for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
He's doing really good in Atlanta. I love Terry Fontenot. He was him and Peyton were neck and neck. I at the time I said Peyton Manning was a yes man because of what the situation is coming in. But I said if George Payton gets the chance to do what he wants to do, he could be a solid GM. He could be a good GM who will build it right. I love George Payton. This isn't me attacking George Payton. Okay, this is bigger than George Payton, okay? Because I don't think that George Payton in this offseason is a perfect example. You and me have talked about it off live and even on our videos. What did he want to do this offseason? He wanted to go out and get offense and defensive linemen. And I guarantee you he wanted Rashawn Slater. I guarantee you he wanted Sheldon Rankins. He wanted Roy Robertson Harris. That was a thing. I would have loved that guy. He would have helped out this defense. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he wanted to go get certain players, but I think Elway hand-tied him. Again.
I wonder all the people that are stuck around and are listening to this right now to understand that you didn't roll out of bed and just say that. You had sent me the articles. You sent me the articles saying, and he
said it at his press conference.
Said it at the press conference. We're not making this up now. Totally ignored by STR. Because they got their own agenda with quarterbacks. Oh, I got Joe Flacco Kool-Aid here. I got Joe Flacco. Oh no! I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh God.
Here we go again.
Another retread quarterback.
Another retread quarterback. Well, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to. He's not going to be the decision maker if he goes. I don't know.
He ain't.
He's not going to get.
You said it yourself.
Well, I mean, look. Well, it's the contract. He signed a contract, and he can break the contract, but it's going to be up. It's going to be up to both the league and Green Bay if he goes that route. He's not going to have. It's not going to be on him. That's just the reality. He didn't Tom Brady. If he didn't sign the contract, he could have went wherever he wanted to go, regardless of whether what he was promised or not promised. He could have done what he wanted to do, but that contract, that's the way it goes. But going back to Peyton though has the albatross of Elway around his neck. I do not, sometimes I wonder, did Elway, was he more forced into that 6-year, making that 6-year offer than him just being a wonderful GM and this is going to be a 6-year, but I'm basing that off of what the New England Patriot probably just told him flat out. This isn't even, nobody's going to go for this. And he's probably just told him flat out, you may have everybody in Denver BS'd, but we know, all of us outside of this.
Yeah, everybody around the league knows that the Denver Broncos are a shell of themselves. Everybody knows
who's running it, who's calling the shots, and they know who's.
Well, this organization's shit. This organization's dog crap. Because they have no running authority like a Pat Bowlen. They don't have that anymore. And this is what me, ever since when I started doing this with you, I said, when you don't have a leadership from the top, everything from the bottom is going to crumble. And you've seen it with Elway over the past 5-6 years. Everything has just crumbled and went to dog crap. And you bring up a thing about Peyton, and I was going to answer this. I think that Elway was forced to give him that 6-year contract. I think it was going to be a 3-4 year contract. I guarantee you, if that was the final, we're giving you this, and we're not giving you 6 years. I think Peyton would have went to the Lions or elsewhere because that was his close second. I think that we would have got Chip Kelly. I think that we would have got him because he's a yes man. And look, he's not even been brought up ever since that whole thing with George Payton and Chip Kelly. So that shows you that he was probably a yes man. You're right on the money. And so I'm not going to judge George Payton off of this year or next year because we still need an owner.
That's going to be another point of contingency too. Is
Jeff Bezos? Yeah.
Could it get worse than Elway? Well, here's the thing.
It could.
They won't STR. They could really turn a bad situation that could be good bad too, because they're not going to be, since it's not Elway, they're not going to be right in, which is a good thing. They're not going to be in their hip pocket. But I don't want them to be too attackful. At first, we got to figure out, and again, the problem is that they want a bozo, and if they get bozos, then
screwed.
They'll probably be a yes man for that. But bozos, and I said it over and over again. So you get him in, he has the league, his sights on the. There's Al Davis again. He has his sights on the league, big time, with the exception of, he'll be the Al Davis of trying to get his greedy, sticky, dirty hands in the league.
You talk about a dirty guy.
Well, I just wonder if that's like another, the old time owners worry about a guy like that coming in too.
Oh, I bet they are.
And trying to take over the league.
And I don't want Jeff Bezos here. I honestly don't think it's going to happen. If it does, we're screwed. If it does, get ready for another.
May not. The one upside to having bozos is he won't even care enough about the team to be meddling. That you can guarantee that. He'll just say, here, whatever, here. But he may be so ignoreful of it, so ignoring the team so much that it may be like a Rocky situation.
I want a GM. I'm sorry. I want an owner that will be involved. Okay. I'm going to be careful what I have to say here because if I say it in a way, it's going to sound like Al Davis and John Elway. I want an owner that will give his GM and scouts freedom to do the stuff, but he'll be like a Pat Bowlen in a way where he ain't going to put up with bullshit and he ain't going to put up with certain things that are going to happen if things go bad, okay? That I didn't want to word that in a way that sounded like a John Elway, Al Davis, okay? You have a Pat Bowlen, but is also will give a GM, the scouts, player personnel freedom to do whatever it is to make this team relevant again. And if you get that owner, you're set up for success. I think that's why Peyton wanted a 6-year deal because I think he wanted to know who the GM or the owner is. And you know what? This is a theory I have. I don't know if they know who they want as the owner, but I think George Payton does. I mean, why would you ask for a 6-year contract if you didn't know who the next owner of the Denver Broncos was going to be? Because that had to be a point of contention in the meeting. Well, I think they have a guy that they want. Why would you give him a 6-year contract?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
That was a theory. That was just a theory.
I mean, the thing is that this is why I think the Broncos are attractive to a Aaron Rodgers or attractive to a Deshaun Watson, is that they can always break that contract. They'll put in two couple years knocked out of their contract, and then they can, when the owner comes in, they can say, hey, I didn't sign up with you. Just like, this is how the world of the NFL works anyway. New offensive coordinators come in and say, Locke, I didn't draft you. I like Bridgewater. I've worked with Bridgewater. He's my guy. It's always that with all teams. I didn't take him or, So Peyton's got himself in a situation that, same thing, that, he can at least, he would be attractive to an owner that we got a GM ready to go in place. He's coveted. And, if he's allowed to do what just allow him and being a new owner, that he probably would say, why don't you do what you can, to build the team the way you see it, a team should be built, coaches and everything else. And we'll go from there. At least that gives him, and then you could reassess that, after that time is up, that, 3 years or whatever that's left on that contract.
I think that with this team is going to be blown up in a way that you're not going to see Cortland Sutton here anymore. You're not going to see Bradley Chubb probably not here anymore. You're not going to see Von Miller here anymore. That's for sure. So I think that you're going to see this team blown up from coaching, scouting, player personnel directors, players, etc. I think that you're going to see a huge atomic bomb in this organization from the ground up, and that's the way it needs to be. I think that with Elway, there's been too many guys that he's kept here that have too big of egos, and Elway's one of them. He's kept people around that aren't, and I know who they are. You're going to keep certain coaches and people here that aren't good at their job. You're stagnant, and that's the thing of an owner. You need to get an owner that wants to be the best that it could possibly be in the National Football League. That's why the Bills are so good, the Colts, etc. Because they have owners, and I'm surprised how good Irsay's doing now. But you have certain owners that are letting their GMs and etc. doing what they need to do to build a team.
Well, that's the younger Irsay. It's not the old.
I know, yeah, the younger. Yeah, I know the younger Irsay.
Well, even Al Davis is.
He used to be meddling though. With Luck, he probably learned his lesson with Andrew Luck. So he used to be meddling. He used to be meddling.
What can I meddle with today?
I think there's going to be an owner here in the next year and a half, 2 years. I think
it won't be Brittany. It's not going to be Brittany.
It's not going to be Brittany. STR, stop. Good Lord. If there was going to be
Not
anybody in
gonna
that
happen.
Bowlen family, I want Beth Bowlen Wallace because she actually has a clue what's going on.
Looking at and she's got the balls to stand up. See, that's the
Yes.
problem between
Yes.
the Britneys versus the Beth Bowlen Wallaces. She's got
we
the
have to
balls to
forget-
stand up to Elway.
And this is another thing that we have to.
That's why the trust does not want them. And that's Pat Bowlen's brother too. They are not happy with this trust at all, the way they're doing things, and that's why the trust
Joe
hates
Ellis
them.
is a part of it. He won't be here anymore. Before we end this, I just want to bring up something. There's going to be important dates coming up with this court thing, and that's a thing that we need to be keeping an eye on. Is coming up. There's going to be that court thing with the trust and the Bowlen family. So that's going to be coming up soon.
Well, it's kind of like a bridge to nowhere, because the bottom line is what Pat Bowlen did is said one thing that everybody's in agreement with, that the bond can't be broken, the contract, is Pat Bowlen said everybody has to agree on one of the kids being an owner. If that's going to be the direction, they all have to agree on it. If they can't agree on it, it then goes to the NFL. The team goes up for auction. That's just the bottom line.
That's what's going to happen.
So STR, which again, it's Dove Valley talking points. It's all Brittany all the time. That doesn't mean anything. What it means is can they all agree that Beth Bowlen or Wallace or Brittany? No, they can't.
Brought up something very interesting here. Why hasn't Roger Goodell done anything? Oh, that's right. Him and Bowlen had a great relationship. Roger Goodell and Pat Bowlen. So you think Roger Goodell's happy about this? No, because he knows that Denver Broncos are one of the most iconic franchises in NFL history. Yeah. So he's probably letting Elway bury himself. And he's going to sell this team he's going to barge in here soon. And
I think that's where the contracts of all. I think that's the time limit. I think the time limit has been set, and that is right at Elway's exodus.
Why do you think he left so early? Why do you think he went to director of player personnel? He doesn't have 1 year left on his contract. He's out of here after this year.
Well, that's what I would think. I think it'd have to be because. Well, let me ask you the $1 million question.
Oh no, he better not be an owner.
No, he didn't want to be an owner. So when the Broncos get a different owner, it's not Brittany. When an owner comes in, do you think for 1 second he's going to let Elway have any say?
No. Nope.
No.
Okay. I love John Elway, the player. I don't like John Elway, the GM. He could come back and watch practice. That's it. But you are going to have no say in anything. You can come and watch practice. You have free reign to walk around the facility, say hi to the fellas, everything. You can have that. But you are not. You are not going to come back and be anything other than a fan watching practice. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the way I see it. So we got your talking points for your Minnesota Viking friend. We'll get the outside perspective. I'm sure that will get all 3 views or whatever.
Yeah,
because nobody wants to hear what the rest, what everybody, how we're perceived,
Yeah, if you title it quarterbacks, you're going to get 2.1K views.
Yeah, I know. Quarterback talk with the Vikings fan.
Yeah. Oh God.
Quarterback. Yeah. It's all about quarterback. You heard Football Focus, right? It's all about quarterback.
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, here's some stats for you. I got some stats there right here. Here you go. Here's some stats for you. Yeah, just throw that in your face. Just some stats. Yeah. Oh God. All right. Well, keep your ears tuned in, your eyes peeled, and what do we got? Mini camp coming up.
Or training camp. We already passed mini camp.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Training camp coming up.
Yep, that's coming up. So Teddy Bridgewater's in the league, guys. You excited? Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's been also the perception too. Anytime Drew Lock is doing well, it's like really.
Oh, it's only against 7-on-7, 11-on-11. But that's what minicamp is, you idiots. God, they really hate this guy. Well, all right.
And then they laugh about that. Oh, they say we hate him. Got some Aaron Rodgers Kool-Aid right here. Honk, 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 honk.
Deshaun Watson.
Floppy shoes. My hair.
Oh, my.
Aaron Rodgers 24/7.
Thanks, Mark Schiller.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh, it was not promotional, but
Yeah.
there definitely was bad information.
Yeah, they definitely cut his balls off.
I don't know what the deal was, you know, with that. I mean, he should have known that Green Bay is ultimately the NFL are all going to be the ultimate lawgivers when it comes to any exodus by Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he is a princess. I mean, that is true. They have to consider that he is a Disney princess, and you know, the same with Deshaun Watson. They want to. I know they want to make that go away. They absolutely want to make that go away. But you're not talking about the usual one woman. You're talking about a fleet of them, and that thing could get really ugly. So that's another thing I guess we'll all have to watch out for too. I don't know when that all comes down.
Yeah.
But the Texans have definitely separated themselves as far as they can from that situation too.
Yes, they have.
So yeah, that's one the league is going to have to work on their perception. You know.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, if they can get them to shut up, then Deshaun Watson will be the best thing. Look at this, you know, he's been vindicated. But if they can't, yeah, they'll just have to cut him off and say, well, it's the way it goes. And again, don't talk about it. Let's move on. Anyway, that was my take. And anything else?
No, all good to go.
All right, I'll put the video lay it over our discussion on the Bears.
All right.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.